So Haval is a brand that is on everybody's lips right now, and it's not that hard to understand why. They are offering amazing looking products, they're offering exceptional value for money, and this car is no different. I'm Friederich, welcome back to the channel. This is the Haval H6 GT. Let's go take a look. So with the H6 GT, what Haval has basically done is, the name is kind of self-explanatory. They've taken the H6 and turned it into a coupe SUV. And I must be honest, when the news first broke that this car was going to be coming out and that it was going to be coming to South Africa and all that kind of stuff, I was a little bit skeptical. I thought to myself, what is this going to look like? How is this going to work? Is it going to work? Is it going to sell in South Africa? How, is Haval going to pull this one off? But I've been test driving this car now for the last couple of days, and I'm in love. I love this car. This car is so cool. I mean, it's got such interesting styling as well. From the outside, the green brake calipers, the really awesome coupe looking bum at the back, and the double rear spoiler, moving through to the green accents on the interior. It is just so cool. I didn't know that a Haval could be so quirky. I mean, with the green stitching here on the side and the green stitching all over in the steering wheel, the green over here around the gear selector, it really is super fun. As far as I know, that is the only interior accent color that you can have. It's not like, you have an option of like green or red or black or whatever. It's just green. Which is fine, it's not a problem. I don't mind it. I think it's very cool. It's not something that I would have ever chosen, but after driving this car for a couple of days and having the green in here, it's actually not too bad. And I mean, it doesn't take a very long time. I mean, you can see around me right now, and you can see on these shots over here on the interior, this is a very snazzy looking car. I mean, from the exterior to the interior to just about everything about the H6 GT, this is a very good looking coupe SUV. So in terms of what the H6 GT offers you, I'm just going to be frank and say a lot. Because from exterior styling to interior features to, all these comfort features, safety as well, that was something that stood out to me very soon after receiving this car on test. This car is jam-packed with safety features, and I think that for a long time that was a concern with Chinese brands a couple of years ago. A lot of people were worried about whether or not they were actually safe for South Africa's roads, and I really don't think that that is anything to be worried about anymore, because there are airbags all around us. There are so many active and passive safety features on this car, from a heads-up display to keep your attention on the road, to radar guided cruise control that brakes if you get too close to the car in front of you, the car will slow down on its own, all that kind of stuff. Lane departure warning, blind spot assist, 360 camera. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I'm not going to go through every single one of them because I'd probably bore you just sitting here sounding like a crash test person. But safety features is not something to worry about with this car, and neither are gadgets and gizmos either. I mean, this huge infotainment screen, which is, might I say, very high resolution and very crisp graphics. One thing I will say about this infotainment screen, which has been a bit of a challenge, it's not the most intuitive. It is a tad bit complicated for the average person. I mean, you've got a couple of shortcuts here where you can access some main menus, sound settings, car settings, all that sort of stuff. That does make it a little bit more user-friendly, this little menu on the side. I think that this infotainment screen can be simplified a little bit. It's great, it's beautiful, the resolution is nice, graphics are crisp, but could be more user-friendly. So this H6 GT is powered by a 4-cylinder 2-litre turbo petrol, which is mated to this 7-speed DCT transmission. And I have loved this engine over the last couple of days. It produces 155 kilowatts and 325 newton meters of torque, which I think is more than enough to give you the fun, engaging experience that you would expect from a car that has a word like, or letters like GT in its name. It's because this is of course the sportier version of the regular H6. This is the more fun version. This is, I think, you know, the mom or the dad that still has that youthful streak in them. You know what I mean? They want to go drop the kids off at school and then dice somebody on the way home, like that kind of vibe. And I think if I had to have children, I don't, but I think if I had to have children, I think I would probably end up being that kind of parent as well. So this car speaks to my inner non-existent parent self, which I've really enjoyed. The power delivery is good. This DCT transmission works very well with this engine. And even in normal drive mode, there is a nice note coming from the exhaust, nice exhaust note that just makes the drive more like, oh, you know, I'm in a GT kind of vibe. And I think that's a lot of fun. I think that's definitely something that Haval was probably going for with this car, you know, with the coupe SUV. Let's make it have a little bit more attitude, a little bit more sass, a little bit more personality. And it comes through, and I've thoroughly enjoyed that about this car so far. As far as I know, there are no manual options of the H6 GT. You only have the option of this transmission, which I don't mind. I mean, I've said it in so many of my previous videos. I'm becoming such an automatic snob, and it's good. I'm fine with this transmission. I've thoroughly enjoyed it so far. One thing I will say though about the mechanics of this car that do let me down a tiny bit is I do think it is a little bit heavy on fuel. I mean, at the moment, let's have a look. Right now, I am averaging not very well. I'm sitting on 15.8 liters per 100 kilometers. Granted, we did drive quite a bit of incline in this video so far, so that does affect the fuel consumption. Okay, well there it's just come down now a little bit as well, by 0.1, but fuel consumption could be better. And one other thing about mechanics that does irritate me a little bit with this car, I think that the auto start stop is way too intrusive. I mean, I was standing at a robots a couple of days ago and the car switched off at the robots. And you know, when you take your foot off the brake, then the engine starts up again and off you go. It takes too long. In my opinion, the auto start stop takes way too long. And I look like I stalled the car at the robots. I mean, who stalls an automatic? Is that even physically possible? So yeah, I think that the auto start stop could be more refined. And I think that fuel consumption could be improved. But other than that, mechanically, this car has been absolutely awesome so far. I switched it off, and the nice thing is that when you switch it off, it stays off. It's not like other brands where every single time you get into the car, you have to switch it off again. You switch it off once and I blade off, which is quite nice. Okay, so you probably want to know, how much does an H6 GT cost? So, H6 GT, there is only one model in the range, and it pretty much includes everything that you have seen in this video so far, everything that I've told you about. There's no room for options or extras because you get everything already. So an H6 GT at the moment will set you back 629,950 South African rand. And that is insane value for money, because I mean, if you compare it, right, to the European counterparts who offer coupe SUVs much like this one, it is hundreds of thousands of rands cheaper. Yes, granted, the engine might not be as big. It's not like a V6 diesel or, you know, a V8 or any of that kind of stuff. But with the petrol prices in South Africa at the moment, I'm fine with that. But even with that being said, you know, having a smaller engine than the European counterparts, this is still a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to drive. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. All the different driving modes, you know, putting it into race mode and then yachting down the road, down the highway in the middle of the night when I'm alone. Don't worry, I'm not putting anyone in danger, I promise. And, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's still very engaging. It's still very good looking. It's still super fun to drive. And included in that purchase price is a 5-year, 100,000 kilometer warranty, a 5-year, 60,000 kilometer service plan, and I would assume 24-hour roadside assistance from Haval, South Africa as well. And it's really not that hard, just after having driven only one model in the Haval range so far, this one. It's not that hard for me to understand why Haval has become one of the top 10 brands in South Africa, because the quality is just awesome. The price is amazing. The curb appeal is really good. I mean, if you're somebody who likes to look good in their cars as well, definitely something like this is something that you need to look at. And I know that a lot of people often worry about whether or not the Chinese brands are durable or sustainable, or if they're going to last, or if the brand is going to hold up and all that kind of stuff. Haval has been back in South Africa, for 5 years now. If I'm not mistaken, they came onto the South African market in 2017. So they've been here for a good while now, you know. And so far, I haven't heard many scary stories. Yeah, you hear stories of people's cars that break down and stuff like that. That happens no matter what car you drive. So I don't really take that into serious account. If you ask me, I think Haval has proven themselves up until this point. You know, we're a brand that is here to stay in the South African market, and we want to offer you cool stuff, and we want to offer you value, and we want to offer you a fun car like this one. And I've thoroughly enjoyed it. So if you are in the market for an SUV with a little bit of that little something extra, I think that the H6 GT is definitely something that you need to check out, because this car is so fun. It's so much fun. So we've come to a quiet country road, and we are not around anybody else right now. We're not putting anybody in danger or anything like that, but I want to show you one of my favorite things about this car so far, what makes it so much fun. So with the H6 GT, you have different driving modes. So if I go into here and there is drive mode setting, you'll see that there is normal, sport, eco, snow, race, sand, and off-road. And I'm going to put it into race. So what happens now is this car becomes pretty much like a bit of a giant sports car, and the exhaust note that comes out of here is just so much fun. So what I'm going to do is, wait, let me just put it into park. I don't know if you can hear anything right now, but alrighty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my foot down and let's see what happens. There we go. See what I mean? This is an SUV with an attitude, and I absolutely love it. Okay, let's behave ourselves. Let's go back into normal. See, there we go. Now we're sophisticated again, ready to stop outside the school and pick up the kids and go to Woolies. Meantime, we just went nuts before we picked the kids up, but they don't have to know. So I hope I've answered any questions you might have about the Haval H6 GT. I'm Dean Friederich. Thank you so much for coming to check out another video on the channel today. Don't forget to comment down below what you think of the H6 GT. Like this video and subscribe if you haven't already, so I can see you on the next one. I'm off for now. Bye.